All right. Well, we want to welcome everyone to our YL Man. We are super excited to have 4 guest speakers on with us tonight. For those of you who have joined us before, you'll see a lot of the female faces that you recognize because we join you guys every week. But several of us get to bring our husbands in on this tonight. So we are going to have lots of fun. We just thought that it made a whole lot more sense if we were talking about the YL man, for y'all to hear from men rather than women, because they're going to relate a whole lot better to your life than we women will, right? Because, hey, you probably won't use our Progestins Plus and Savvy Minerals, and we likely won't use your Shoe Trans. So, you know, we've got some differences. Although Shoe Trans does smell really good. Yeah, Christy. So,
I'm glad you don't wear it.
I am too. All right, this is going to be the comedy show this evening. So the nice thing too is that we've got a wide range of ages who are sharing tonight, and so that gives you perspectives from a variety, right? And I'm going to facilitate the conversation, but primarily I am turning this over to the guys because you want to hear from them. So I'm just going to do quick intros so you guys can connect some people. But you have Julie Eskridge on with her husband, Trip. And Julie is the one who does all of our phenomenal handouts every week that we are so, so grateful for. And we have known Trip and Julie for 30 years and are super excited to hear from Trip's story because it's really powerful. And then we have Marsha and her husband, Gene. They are from the Tennessee Low System Resources. May affect your audio quality. I hope you guys can hear me. This is my notification coming up. Awesome. We have Marsha and her husband, Gene, joining us from Tennessee. They are transplants from Virginia and other places as well. So we're excited to hear how Gene uses his Young Living supplements and oils and all kinds of great things because he's got some great tips and tricks for you. And then we have Mark, and Mark is another Tennessee, not native, but Tennessee resident, native of Connecticut. We've known Mark since he was 11, so we got some history there. And he's got a very busy family life that he will tell you more about, but we're super excited to hear from him. And then I get my husband, Brian, joining us tonight, and we are in the north of Atlanta area, whereas Trip and Julie are in Atlanta proper. So, essentially. So I am going to turn this over to Trip. Just keep in mind, y'all, that none of us are medical professionals, right? So we can't treat, cure, diagnose, or promise prevention of anything. And what we are sharing tonight is the guys they're sharing their personal stories, some things that they have discovered along the way of using Young Living oils and supplements and personal care products that they have found that have improved their lives in a number of ways. So they're sharing their stories, and you're going to learn a lot from them. So, Trip, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. So yeah, we go all the way back to when I got to pass out at your wedding. Well, not fully. At least I had to sit down for being fake. It was a thing for me. Anyway, hey guys, good to meet you. One of my favorite things about oils has been Julie's commitment to it, because she does all the studying, learning, figuring it all out, and that was where we started. My friends ask about it. It's like, wait, you use oils? It's like, hey, if your wife wants to put oil on you, say yes. It doesn't matter anything else, just say yes to that, right? And that was kind of where we started. It was exactly where we started. Julie had flipped houses. I'm in construction, developed industrial buildings, and we were in the middle of a home renovation. This is the home we're in now that we had purchased. And I came down with what the doctors diagnosed as a migraine headache. So it took a long time. It was a year and a half of seeing doctors, neurologists, cardiologists. I was also passing out, fainting. Hey, how long do you want me to tell my story? 2 minutes? 3 minutes?
No.
You know what? You get about 8 to 10 minutes, Trip, so you do your thing.
Okay, very good. So I was passing out from just the pain, and it went on and was not, it took saw a lot of doctors, and a lot of them just said, get used to it. You're going to have a headache the rest of your life. And so, I mean, it was acupuncture, dry needling, medications. I was on 9 different pharmaceuticals, and that was not really having the desired effect. Even 9 days at the Mayo Clinic 3 times still was a problem. So a year and a half goes by, can't work, can't walk, can't hardly function. And of course, relying upon Julie in many ways during that time. And we finally said, you know, Andrea's told us about these oils, and let's figure out, you know, we'll try anything. Let's try this. Actually, I skipped it. I did skip. So I was properly diagnosed from the Shaw, Dr. Shaw at the Shepherd Spine Center, said, you don't have a headache problem. Like, okay, what do I have? He says, you have a neck problem. So the problem for you, Trip, is arthritis in your neck. And he told me which joints. He did some facet joint injections, and I got better, got a lot better. So the migraine went away, and I was improving. And then as those injections do, it started declining again. So it was a temporary solution for what that doctor was doing. So I went back. He says, I'm not going to treat you anymore. If you can walk in and out, you're fine. It's like, I don't want a headache. So this migraine was too much. So I went and found another physiatrist. She started a nerve ablations where she was going to burn all the nerves in the back of my neck to get rid of the headache, because it was pinching the nerves. The vertebrae were pinching the nerves as they explained it to me. I'm not a doctor. So that was when I did the first nerve ablation. It was successful. The second test they do, and then the third one is they go in and they burn the nerves. And they were telling me about how my spine, my back of my head was going to go numb, and it would stay that way for 6 months. And it's just like, gosh, before we do all this, you know what? Andrew was telling about those oils. I don't have time to do it. Julie, would you talk to her about it and see what it is? So I'm going to shorten a lot of that. Maybe I shouldn't, but Julie took the time to learn, spend time with Andrea to give it a try, to learn about the business. And Julie came up with the recipe. If you'll help me remember, I think it was copahiba, lemongrass, and panaway.
And then I added marjoram and frankincense.
Okay. So it was simple for me. We said, all right, well, we'll try it, because we'll try anything and have tried everything. And so for me, it was just in the morning, I like the rollerball, swiping on the back of my neck. And really it was 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night. And Andrew, I remember telling you, it's like, I'm not sure I like the smell of these. And you said, well, I like the smell of these. I'm like, okay, that's probably good enough. It doesn't really matter. I'm in pain. I don't want to be in pain. After 2 weeks, I was feeling as good as I had ever felt with the spine center, with Shepherd Spine Center, and was happy that I was gotten to the point where I could manage it after 2 weeks. It's like, okay, good. I'm improving. And then continued the oil. And after 3 or 4 weeks, I felt better than I had felt since the 1.5 years of being diagnosed with the migraine headaches and the spine and all that stuff. So we stayed on the oil. That was 2013 is when I started oiling. This morning, I put on the oil on my neck, and now I put it on my back because I'm on a bike ride. But I use that, and Julie just prepares what I need, and that's what I do. So what I do to pursue wellness, to keep from having the headaches, I put having a rollerball of, or actually what Julie started me on was copahiba, panaway, lemongrass, and what else?
Frankincense, and I added marjoram lately. Marjoram. Yeah.
Okay. And so what I started at that time in 2013 was just to put with a rollerball, put a little bit on my neck, morning, noon, and night. It takes 3 seconds at most, rub it in. And after 2 weeks, I started feeling much better. I was tolerating it. It was working well. And I continued to oil even after that, of course, and continue to this day. But what I do is after 3 weeks, I started feeling much better. After 4 weeks, it was just much, much better. And I've continued to do well with responding really well to the oils. So for me, whatever it is, it works. I'm an engineer. My background is all analytical. I need to understand all the nuts, the bolts, the how, the why, the when, and I just had to give all that up. I didn't feel well when I put on the oils. I do feel well, and I've continued. There was a period of time where I stopped putting the oils on just because I thought, okay, well, let's see what happens. And I started declining again. It didn't feel as good. I didn't feel as well. So I started that process back, and to this day, this morning, I put on my oil. I'll put it on. Now I just do it 2 times a day, and so more of a monitoring it, and I feel great. I ride my bicycle. I'm back to walking, hiking, doing all the things I love to do, which was really what it was all about for me, is getting back to wellness. So that's my story, and from then it's kind of we've been committed to it since then. I have been for a variety of things that I was like, I probably need to get a little bit of cutting by the doctors. Like, nope, don't think I need to get the cutting anymore. So we'll do this or that, and whether it's a knee or a shoulder or other things, I won't go into right now. No. It's been helpful in many ways. So I've enjoyed the journey. It's been fantastic.
Overall wellness. Oh, did you want to talk about it here?
Well, so yeah, so some of the other oils I use, I use Shutran and Idaho Blue Spruce every morning. Guys, hey, I'm 58 years old, and was diagnosed with low T, 4 years ago. So the doctor says, you got low T, what do you want to do? Do you want to do shots? I said, well, before I do that, I think I'm going to try the oils. And the next time I went to the doctor, he said, well, you kind of have high T. You're kind of at the top end of the range. It's like, okay, I won't go into that any further. The other thing is I do the oil on my hair. And so it's funny, my hair has been kind of filling in the top. It's kind of long now.
You can put it in a ponytail now.
The funny comment about the hair was a guy that works for me. He's the same age. And he just said, he's been working for me about a year. He said, Trip, every I've known you for a year now. You keep looking younger and younger and younger. You seem to be going backwards. I seem to be going the other way. He said, will you introduce me to Julie? It's like, sure, glad to. So I've had a good time. The oils have been good to me. I love pursuing wellness. I love feeling good. I love being active. And that's what it's been about for me.
Your story is so transformational. I mean, I absolutely love your story. And this is the reason why I keep sharing. I mean, you guys are poster children for that, because you are a story that I share with others. And I'm like, because I shared about oils with them, you have a quality of life back that you were lacking at that time. And so I'm just celebrating with you and so super excited that you found something that could support your body doing what it's naturally intended to do, which is heal, right?
Yes. Yes, yeah. It's been fantastic. And it has been that. And the other thing is it's so easy. So for me, I'm a busy person. And so just, quick this and that, and I'm done. And that's been important. But yeah, the results, I guess, even if it took an hour a day, I'd still do it just because it's important. It really has changed my quality of life and helped me to recover where I wanted to be. So yes, thank you.
Yeah. Rollerballs are the best.
Yeah, rollerballs and everything for me.
Everything.
All right, so there's a tip for ladies, for those of you who have men in your life, and you would love to help them use their oils and make it easy for them, put rollerballs on each of their oils and just have it ready for them to go. All right, well, I want to move it along to Jean, and we are excited to hear from you and the tips that you have.
Okay, to say that I was a skeptic when Marcia first started the oil thing is an understatement. I mean, my pet name for her was Witch Doctor. So the very first time she ever used oil on me was I had a blood blister on my foot. No big deal. She puts 2 or 3 oils on it. Next day, I couldn't even see where it was. So I thought, well, maybe I'll give this a try. Well, first thing I started using, was I have degenerative knees. I have arthritis in both knees, too many years of playing sports, motocross, doing everything you could possibly do to destroy your body while you're a kid. I've done. Skydiving, you name it, everything. And so basically I got to the point where the only thing that was left in my knees was arthritis. Had almost no cartilage. I went and saw the doctor. Basically I was at the point of having to do a knee replacement, in one knee and probably two. So, and I've seen the issues with my brother. Found a really good doctor. He said, "You're too young. You need to put it off. You need to see if you can get to X as the year of age before you have it done." So, but he says you need to have a quality of life. So we started using Palo Santo on my knees, and don't know why it works. I've had the cortisone shot. I've had I call it the liquid chicken shot, the lubricant they put in your knees. I've had that several times. The Palo Santo seems to work better than any of it. For me. I've had my knees MRI'd numerous times, x-rayed. I even had a doctor ask me, I'd been seeing him in Virginia for years. And he asked me, he said, "Did you have micro surgery on your knees, or did you have something happen to your knee?" Because he showed me the x-ray I had 2 years prior and the x-ray I had then. And there was a larger space between the bones. So I can't tell you that it grows cartilage, but for me, it just does away with the pain. Right now, I am pain-free. I used it when I was in extreme pain. I used it every day, 3 or 4 times a day for 2 weeks. About 2 weeks, I started leveling off. I use it now maybe 2 to 3 times a month. I don't have to use it every day. So that was the first thing we tried. So then, after doing some other stupid things, I used to ride a train to work, and I used to have a backpack with 2 computers on me, and getting up and down into the train, I wound up getting plantar and a bone spur in one of my feet. So I went to a chiropractor, and he did the most painful thing he said a chiropractor can do to a patient, and that is try to break loose all those tissues. And it was very painful, by the way, but it seemed to help. But another month, I was back to where I was. So Marcia started witch doctoring me again, and we have this thing called Good Feel Feed or Feel Good Feed. So it's a blend of oils. I can tell you it's wintergreen, RC, and Northern Lights blue spruce, only because she wrote them down. Take them to the hotel when I travel and stuff like that. Whenever I walk a lot, like when I travel, I go in the city, I always have a backpack on the computers. So I put that on one foot, and it just goes away overnight. Next day, I'm fine. Get to the point where I can't walk, next day, I'm fine. So those are the 2 oil regimen that I do, that I constantly do. The other stuff I do, they have a supplement called Sulfurzyme, and I always call it my supplement when I'm misbehaving. So when I do too much yard work, when I do whatever, and I usually take it before bed, so when I wake up in the next day, I can actually get out of bed. Also, when I work out really, really hard, I'll usually take a couple of those too, because it just gets it to the point where I'm not near as stiff and not near that. Everything seems to work a little bit better. And the last supplement that I do is thiamine. How do you pronounce it? Thiamine. So Marcia convinced me that she read a study and stuff like that, and I think it helps with my energy level. So I take that every day. Sulfurzyme I actually take every day. I take 1 to 2 capsules every day, but when I'm misbehaving, I take more than that. And the 2 other one oil blend and 1 other oil. That's basically I do every day. I also use energy from time to time. Shutron because it smells good. And that's what I usually use from the oil standpoint.
So when we were researching for the plantar, I had just found this as a suggested blend for that. And we had tried several things. And I think that's probably one of the other tips that we need to give people, is that each one of our bodies are different and how we respond to the oils are going to be different. So that's why we can tell you what works for us. And I know it can be frustrating, but we can't necessarily tell you that it's going to work for you. It's a great starting point, but it may not work exactly like it does for us because you're different than we are. And I'm baffled by the combination of wintergreen RC and the Northern Lights black spruce. I still don't understand that combination and why it works. The palo makes a lot more sense to me, and if you research palo, you're going to see a lot of emotional uses for palo, but cartilage support is one of the uses for palo, and you will actually find that documented in your desk reference and things like that. The sulfurzyme is an amazing supplement. Everybody in our house takes sulfurzyme, and after you research it, it makes a lot of sense why we all take sulfurzyme. I mean, I think it's really a supplement that a lot of people would benefit from. The MSM is going to support your joints, your inflammation, your post-exercise recovery, reducing joint stiffness, improving flexibility, strengthening your hair and nails, and a natural energy increase. And that wolfberry powder is going to support your gut health, your immune system, and your cell and tissue regeneration, and help with that bioavailability, which, if you don't know bioavailability in Young Living supplements, it really makes the supplements work better, but that's certainly a good thing to research. Not a lot of supplements can say that. But at our house, our daughter's had a knee injury, so she has lots of inflammation with that. My mom's had a neck fracture, and she was a beautician for years, and she's got fibromyalgia. So lots of things that sulfurzyme is good for helps her. And then I have tons of inflammation issues. So we all take sulfurzyme and have really been blown away by the results of that. And then the Thyromin, that's probably one that you're going to want to consult with your doctor about and just really find out what the health and quality of your thyroid is. A lot of the surveys and studies show that most people's thyroid is not running at its optimal level. So that thyroid support might be something that's very good for you as well. That's one that's going to be much more individual, and it would require a little bit more research on your behalf before you use that one.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I know I got tips for my knees and my feet, so thank you. And I really appreciate that you guys, both Jean and Tripp, shared the scope of things that they've done. They went through the gamut of the doctors and the chiropractors, and they got the help that they needed, and they used oils, and they saw the difference with the oils and the supplements and different things like that. So fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing, Jean and Marcia. All right, Mark, we are on to you. We turn the microphone over to you. Tell us a little bit about your family life before you jump in.
All right, guys, how you doing? I'm Mark here. If you hear something like a jungle in the background or like wild animals, it's just my children. I have twin boys who are 8 years old and triplet girls who are 4 years old. So the triplet girls alone are like 17 teenagers already. So if you're at my house, you're always going to be busy and you'll always have something to do. So feel free to come over anytime you want. I also have a college kid who is 23. She has her own child who is 8 months old, who lives with us as well. So as you can imagine, my house is interesting, to say the least. It's a lot of fun, a lot of work. We use a lot of oils all the time. Stress away, empty bottles all over the place. What? Oh, 11 months. Jake is 11 months. That was Michelle. She's sneaking in on here. She's muted because she's actually with the kids right now. Probably duct taped them and tied them to the couch at this point just to keep them quiet, because I told her I was going to be talking soon. So just kidding. So my story with the oils, most men that I hear usually have the same story. Their wives get involved first. The guys are very skeptical. They kind of have that one eyebrow up, like, what are you trying to get me into? You know, my whole thing was Michelle needed some emotional support. She needed some support for her health in different areas. And she, you know, we discussed going traditional doctor route or going kind of the natural route. And I know Andrea and Brian, I've known them since I was a teenager. And they can probably tell you a lot of embarrassing stories, so please don't ask. But you know, I encouraged Michelle to go talk to Andrea and Brian because I knew they were doing and using oils for years at the point where Michelle needed some support. And so I was like, all right, let's go talk to Andrea, see what she has, you know, up her sleeves. And so they kind of talked, and Andrea suggested some oils to take. Long story short, the oils ended up helping Michelle in her emotional levels and, you know, her different support in her areas that she was looking for. And so we were like, all right, cool. There's something here. Maybe we don't necessarily need to go, you know, the traditional route. Let's stick with the oils. Let's go with the natural route. So it was around the time where it was getting into winter, and I don't know if some of you ever experienced a little kind of dip in the winter, a little winter blues here and there, you know, less sun, less vitamin D. And so I went through that, a little bit of that patch in my life. And Michelle was like, all right, here, try this. We used, I think it was Citrus Fresh at the time. And Citrus Fresh, I mean, within a few minutes, I felt the difference in my own mood. It wasn't like she was telling me, hey, something's different. No, I was like, okay. It boosted my mood. It kind of lifted my spirits a little bit. It helped my emotions, supported my emotions. So I was like, all right, cool. There might be something to these oils. So I slowly became a believer over, you know, a few months, and I watched my wife literally transform. She started really diving into the oils. She got her starter kit, her premium starter kit. We were diffusing all day long. We had little babies around that time, so we were gently using them with the babies, getting them used to the different oils, Stress Away and different the seedlings. There's a baby products from Young Living. We started getting the seedlings product and using them with our babies. So it was like awesome. It was really good. I started using some oils for different things. I started getting some. I started using thieves a lot, kind of to help boost the immune system and give you support in that area. I was using lemon in my water, the Vitality line. But there's a couple oils that really kind of like I hold dear to my heart. And actually one's not an oil, it's a supplement. And actually an oil and a supplement go together. We got here Alkalime. And Alkalime is something that kind of helps with, say you go out to like a Mexican restaurant and you eat a lot of Mexican food and spicy and a lot of beans, and you go home and you're sitting on the couch and you're like, why did I do that? Well, we had packets at the time, little individual packets. We bought a box. Michelle was like, hey, just try this. And so you rip the packet open, drop it in some water, 8 ounces of water, and then it bubbles up and fizzes, and then you drink it. Well, there you go again. It was like a miracle all over again. I was like, well, these really do work. So it helped kind of calm the things going on in my stomach. And from that point on, I was like, Michelle, we can't ever be without this. We have to always keep a bottle on hand because, I mean, we're trying to eat healthy, but every once in a while, you know, I like to eat a little pizza, a little Mexican, some spicy stuff. And my go-to supplement after an amazing, hot, spicy Mexican dinner is Alkalime. And it's one of the best supplements that I could ask for. Thank you to the oil gods. But along with that goes another one that was like such a game changer for me, Digize. Digize is part of the Vitality line in Young Living. They have ones that you can use like topically and you can diffuse them, but Vitality, you can actually, they're approved so you can use them like in your water, you can ingest them. So Digize is kind of the same thing. It has a similar kind of end result, right? So if you have some yucky stuff going on in your stomach and your gut, it supports gut health. And so what I do with Digest Vitality is I take a little vitamin capsule. I put couple drops of Digest, a couple drops of lemon, a couple drops of peppermint, pop it in, swallow it with a glass of water. And a few minutes later, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. It totally it was a game changer for me. So if I'm not able to get my hands on alkaline, I turn to Digest. I wouldn't recommend, I've done it before, but I wouldn't recommend taking Digest just like popping a couple drops on your tongue, because it has a horrific taste by itself. But if you take it in a capsule, it's not bad at all. And then obviously another one that I've used for quite a while, every now and then I like to shave, but for the most of the time during the year, I grow my beard. It's been about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months since I've shaved. And I try to grow as long as I can before I get kicked out of the bedroom and am forced to sleep on the couch. So I'm getting close to that point. But I like to use Shutron beard oil. And I have very kind of bristly, wiry hair. It's part of my Irish heritage. It turns really like orange in the summertime. But Shutron beard oil it's a mix of Shutron and a bunch of other things in here. It smells amazing. I love it. My wife loves it. I'll tell you a funny story real quick before I turn the mic over to whoever's next. I was working at the Apple store one time here in Nashville, downtown Nashville, and I had a beard and I put on some Shutron beard oil before I went into work, and I was nice and fresh and I was ready to go. And I was at the front door greeting the people that come in with a nice big smile. And I had a couple coworkers next to me, and one was a female that I worked with. And she was like, just kept getting closer to me. And, I was like, okay, wait, what's going on? How you doing? She was like smelling. And I was like, yeah, what's up? And she was like, can I smell your beard? And I was like, that's kind of weird, but okay. And so she went and she smelled my beard and she said, that smells amazing. Like, what do you have on? And so I gave her the whole spiel, and I made sure to say my wife bought, me Shutron, and I kind of waved my wedding ring at her, but it was all cool because we were friends and stuff. But it was just so funny because they say if you're a single guy, Shutron really attracts the women. So married men, just be careful when you use it because it really attracts the women. But it also smells really good, and it has this conditioning thing that goes on so you don't, I never have any dandruff. A lot of guys, when they have a full beard, they get dandruff and stuff. But one of the other things that I use to accompany Shutron is cedarwood. Now, cedarwood I use I put a couple drops of Shutron beard oil, I put a couple drops of cedarwood, and then I just kind of massage my face, rub it through my beard. But I also use cedarwood on the top of my scalp because every once in a while, Michelle will tell me that things are getting a little thin up there. Not that I'm not balding, but maybe just a little thinner than normal. And so apparently there's some follicle stimulation that happens with cedarwood. It promotes healthy follicles, I guess, in a compliant way of saying that. Andrea, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it works. I don't know because I can't see up there, but I do it anyway because it's nice to use and it has this conditioning feature and it smells really woodsy and it's just amazing. The last oil that I was recently introduced to is an oil for the bedroom. And when I told my wife I was going to kind of talk about this, she blushed and she was like, please don't embarrass me. And I was like, I promise I won't embarrass you. I won't, So we're not going to go into detail, but this oil is called Mister. And actually Brian's been bragging to me for quite a while about Mister and goldenrod, and maybe he'll share a little bit about some things that he wants to share about. But Mister is an essential oil. Basically, it's designed for male hormones, and it supports healthy prostate. It supports the glandular system in both actually men and women. So it's not just for men. Women can actually use it as well. And so, again, without getting into details, the way we apply it is on our belly, on our ankle, and in between the thighs. And it has kind of maybe I don't know if it's menthol-y sensation, but it's cool. It's nice, breezy. Just put it that way. So I'm going to end it there so I don't start blushing. But Andrew or Brian, why don't you guys take it over? Thanks for letting me be a part of this. I love y'all.
That was awesome, and that was a great note to end it on. And maybe you should flip your order
Not
and
quite sure how to go
start
from that
with where you were going to end. Since he just talked about Mister, why don't you go right ahead on into Goldenrod?
So when Andrew's talking with me about Goldenrod, and I'm going through the whole thing, I'm just sitting here like this, going through my head, everything about it. And yes, it supports the male function. I'm just going to say two things. Remind me when I'm in the Navy, when you're standing there or sitting there in a room and an officer walks in, they yell, "Attention on deck." Everybody stands up. I'm just going to leave that one right there. But it's also like, the best way to put it is, without using it on the 4th of July, you can have your home fireworks show. Or if you use it, it's like going to the Macy's giant fireworks show that lasts for like an hour. So, and full blown everything. So that's my view on Goldenrod. And I'll be honest.
I mean, the name speaks for itself.
Yes, it does. And for me, it doesn't smell the best. A lot of guys I know don't like the smell.
A lot of women don't like the smell either.
So I believe, well, most guys that I know that have talked about it, not all will mention it, but they apply it early so that there's time for the fragrance to dissipate, or they'll put something else with it that's a stronger fragrance. So don't be surprised if it smells a bit unusual, but it is fantastic and worth it.
So maybe we should just work backwards from what our plan had been, since we started with Goldenrod. We'll go to Powergize next.
Powergize. Okay. I am so off now with doing it that way.
Oh, do you want to go back?
Yes.
Okay.
So I want to go to the shoe trend 3-in-1, the shampoo, body wash, and face scrub. I guess it really is. I'm someone who doesn't like chemicals. I have never liked chemicals. I grew up with a garden that was organic. I grew up not spraying anything.
I thought he was weird. So when I started the whole oil thing, like, he was well ahead of me on all of this, because he'd been trying to get me to do the whole natural thing for a while. And yeah.
I didn't even like a fabric softener, stuff like that. So my kids thought I was really weird. I love the shoe trend. Yes, it's easier being 3-in-1. So it has the shampoo, the body wash, and the face. Well, what I really like about it is that it's pH balanced. And so I love things being pH balanced, so that when you're putting it on your body, it is natural. It just feels right. It doesn't have acid burns. It doesn't go the wrong way. And I know that what I'm putting on my face is not going to react. So that makes me excited. Then it's also gluten-free, which is important since I'm gluten-free. So I try and make sure everything I use is gluten-free. And most shampoos are not gluten-free. So I don't know if you knew that, but if you're talking to people about the product, it's gluten-free, so which is fantastic. The fragrance, I don't like fake synthesized chemical fragrances. It's the shoe trend fragrance, but it's light. So I'll still put the shoe trend on, and it's not like I'm double dipping or double stacking or whatever you want to call it. So I can still get the actual benefits of the real shoe trend and use that as well. And the best part, not the best part, another great part about it, it doesn't foam up. That was kind of weird in the beginning when I first started using it, because you're so used to shampoos and foams or body washes really foaming up. But when I used it and it didn't foam up, I'm like, there's no chemicals. There's nothing that's making it foam up. So I thought that was awesome. Absolutely loved it. For me, it just took a little bit of getting used to, but I absolutely loved it. The next one is lavender. And this one, I have a construction story. I was working at a job, and I was removing some hardwood flooring, and a piece of oak flooring hit my thumb and sliced across and put a giant cut, a U-shaped cut. And I bled all over the place. And I knew that if I was at home, Andrea would look at me and say, "You need stitches." Well, on a job, all you need is duct tape, and just keep changing it as it keeps bleeding. Because you just keep going. And so I did that, hurt like crazy. It was bloody, everything else. Came home and she took one look and she's like, well, it's too late for stitches. And so let's just go ahead and put this on. So every half hour, I was applying oil to it.
So we're going to show you guys a picture that we took then. That's not the picture. Hang on. Sorry, hold on. Wait, stop share. Okay, so sorry. This is a really good picture. Let's try this again. Actually, it's completely gone. So we won't show you a before and after picture. Dang it. I don't know what happened. I'm so sorry.
So within 24 hours, it went 12 hours. It went from nasty looking, very red, very bloody, to normal skin tone, to just the outline where the cut was.
I was shocked, and that's why I wanted to show you guys the pictures, because what happened was, in using the lavender like that, it supported his skin for doing what skin is supposed to do naturally, which is heal. So the difference was truly shocking.
For me, I would have gone back to work the next day with a bigger piece of duct tape. But I went back to work the next day and I had full range of motion in my hand. And I could go back to working on the floor and do everything I needed to and not have to worry about blood dripping and everything else and all the issues with it. So the next one is Ningxia Red. I was at a guy's weekend and they were talking about Ningxia Red, and one guy there was a doctor, and he was explaining, he goes, if you're a diabetic and I can tell you to take one thing and one thing only that Young Living does, the greatest item that you could take every single day is Ningxia Red. He said it supports so many different systems for your body, from your eyes to your digestion to cell absorption of nutrients. It supports those. And he goes, there's nothing better that you can take than that. Everything else adds to it, but you have to start there. And so for me, that was an automatic. So I take it every single day. And I found that even when I'm having, say, a low blood sugar, my go-to first thing that I'll take is that, because it's not throwing a sugar in my system to try and balance it out or bring it up to a proper level. It does increase the energy level or the sugar in the blood system, but a healthy way. And it just provides a greater balance to the system.
Rather than taking like candy or chocolate or whatever.
Chocolate, candy, any kind of thing like that, which is basically then you're fighting again, because then it can skyrocket and you want to get it down. It can just be a yin and yang, if you want to call it that. So that's my thing. And I love the way it tastes too. And I have it in my smoothie every day.
And he also recently had an eye injury, and he has been like quadrupling his Ningxia intake daily to help support just his eye doing its natural healing process.
By the way, I'm just going to say this real quick. I took a chair across the face a month ago, and we started putting oils on my face that night.
Oh, immediately.
Right after, and that was a bloody mess with the lines across, the line from the front of the chair across my head. And by morning, and I did shatter my nose. There was no bruising, the swelling in my nose was still there, but it wasn't red anymore. And it was all the typical bruising, nothing happened, nothing. So it was amazing. And I could feel the chips inside there, and I did have to straighten it.
Okay, moving on. We're talking about prostate health.
Prostate health. So I take the prostate supplement. And again, I'm a big fan of supplements. Absolutely love them. My mom got me on supplements when I was a kid. And she explained to us that you need to have extra stuff because what you buy doesn't really give you everything. My mom would grow vegetables, so we would have stuff. She would have fruit in the garden, so we always ate stuff from the garden. Trip and Julie, Mark, you guys have seen my mom's garden. So we always had stuff, but we would always have supplements as well. Now that I'm 50s, you got to make sure you're taking the right supplements. And for me, the whole prostate thing, you got to keep that pipe flowing. That's all I got to say, is that it really supports the flow. And so It's a matter of being in the bathroom for 1 minute to 30 seconds. So it just changes everything. And I don't know, just getting older, you want to remember how it was when you were younger and keep going that way. So for me, the prostate health, besides all the support and everything else, that's the big thing for me.
And so it also, I'm going to say this correctly, it supports the normal prostate function and glandular system. It balances testosterone levels, supports the body's natural inflammatory response, and it supports healthy digestion. So I learned a couple things about prostate health that it did beyond what I knew it already did. So that was pretty cool. Last but not least, Powergize.
Powergize. So my favorite way to take Powergize is actually with Super B. I take Powergize and Super B together at the same time, and it gives you this boost of energy that's very solid. So it's not like a caffeine shot. And it also increases the mind function. How would you say that?
Mental clarity.
Mental clarity. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mind function is not a good word.
Concentration, alertness, those kinds of things.
So I don't necessarily know, like when I take it, what it does for me when I'm taking it. All I know is that when I don't take it, I feel slower. I don't think as clearly, and I don't respond as well. So when I take it, I function so much better.
Amazing. So again, looking at it and just making sure that we cover it all, it also, we have a theme here, supports testosterone. It supports the body's natural response to stress, which is another great thing. And you had said earlier that it just made you feel not only energized, but motivated.
Yes, it helps with motivation.
Yeah, and it's he was saying that it helped him to feel like he could move ahead emotionally and physically. So really good stuff.
It's like you have the energy to go ahead and step into something and actually complete it.
So those are the personal stories that the men had to share, but just wrapping it up with a couple of things. Guys, as you've been listening tonight, do you have any other words of wisdom, either for men who are already using oils and supplements, or maybe they think their wives are a little off kilter, or maybe they've been hearing about this stuff, but they haven't jumped in? You know, what words of wisdom would you have for them, or any parting thoughts about a difference that it's made in y'all's lives? Anybody?
I would say pick one. Just pick one.
It's good.
One oil and try it for a month. Just try it for a month without expectations, without any reservation. Just use it. Or even, I know this isn't always the best thing to do. If a wife wants to test something on her husband, sneak it on him. Just give him a capsule of something and put it in there and don't say a word what it is.
Can't tell you how many wives have done that. Anybody else have anything?
I would just say go for it and just try, just have an open mind. And, you know, we're so used and we're programmed to go traditional pharmaceuticals and that route. And I would just say, try the natural route. It's much better, much healthier, and much safer.
Awesome.
You don't have nothing to lose.
Say that again?
You don't have nothing to lose, so go ahead. Don't be a skeptic. I mean, you can be a skeptic, but it'll still change your mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to ask you the question that I hear wives or girlfriends or moms ask all the time. Okay, I know that he already said trick them, whatever, but do you guys have any specific hints or tips beyond what has already been mentioned for getting guys to try these? Because that's the whole thing, you know, how do I get my guy to start using oils and supplements? Beyond tricking them, beyond, like, Julie, I think you have been, both you and Marsha have been amazing with this, because you've just done things for your husband, like you've created roller blends and things like that and just said, here, use this. Any tips from you guys that would make it more approachable for a guy getting started?
What helps me is just, I know the question was to Julie, but it helps me, and I share with my friends, just stop trying to figure it out. You know, just try it. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to know it. You don't have to do all that. Just try it. And Marcus, no, not Mark, Gene?
Gene?
Kind of what you said. You got nothing to lose. Yeah.
Yeah. You smell good.
And you really only need one win. I mean, you just, as when Gene was sharing with the blister on his foot, that was enough to kind of like open the door. Like he didn't understand why, but he was like, oh, okay, well, it doesn't hurt anymore. So that's a good thing. And then, from that, then you're going to be able to build on that. And the more wins you have, eventually they are going to come to you and say, I have this going on. Do you have something that can help me?
Hey.
Yeah.
And now when he travels, I mean, he takes all of his oils with him. And we didn't talk about wellness and immunity. I know people aren't traveling much right now, but his immunity level, and I mean, that's important for me because I don't want him sick when he comes home. So he now travels with them as well, which was huge. I mean, that was when we really when I knew we had made a huge difference, when he was like, okay, can you help me figure out how to travel with them?
When you travel with them, you need to not only have the fairly tight, you also put a piece of invisible tape around it so it doesn't lose. So it took me a while to figure that out. That way I don't open my case and it smells like all the oils and you're wasting all the oils. So.
All right, so y'all, the way that most of us get all of this is through Essential Rewards, and you hear us talk about this every single webinar because it's truly the best way to get your oils and products. Because when you're talking about things like supplements or Ningxia Red, you're going to go through that every single month. So why not get points back for every order that you place, and get other benefits like additional freebies and things like that you get with your orders. So last month when I got my order, I did do a 300 PV order and I got $234 worth of free product and points. So that was pretty spectacular. This is why we tell you guys about it, because not that it's, for our benefit, but because we want to help you guys make the most out of the money that you're spending, get the greatest bang for your buck, right? So if you don't know about Essential Rewards, talk to the person who invited you to this webinar or sent you the recording link to learn more about it. And if you're not a member, you also need to talk to the person who invited you to this webinar, because they can help you to have a Young Living membership that you get 24% off of all the products that you're purchasing off of retail pricing. So there are lots of great ways to do that, whether it's with a kit that has oils or Ningxia or all of that, or for you guys, if you wanted something specifically geared toward the guy products that we've been talking about tonight, get a $35 Young Living basic membership. Okay, you'll get a free Stress Away, which we talked about tonight. Oh my goodness, Stress Away is liquid gold in my book. And then you can customize your order from there and add to it the specific men's products that you want. And it's a phenomenal way to go. So again, if you're not a member, talk to the person who invited you to this webinar and to learn more. I am going to turn off the recording in just a second here. I do want to remind you guys before I forget that it's convention week. So I'm really super excited because this week, Young Living will be having lots of amazing product launches. There's going to be over 30 products that are going to be released. Super excited. There's such buzz about the products that are coming out. I can hardly contain my excitement. And then there's phenomenal workshops and great things. So y'all want to be on top of that. You can still get a digital ticket until the 17th. If you want more information on that, again, talk to the person who invited you to the webinar. And our next webinar is going to be led next week by Christy and Marcia. And they are going to be doing a Convention 2020 recap with all things new. So super excited. Again, 8 o'clock. So you guys want to join us on Wednesday, June 24th, 8 p.m. That's our next webinar, and we can get you guys the link.